panties? Damn. Hello, I'm Mario, and I'm the developer in this duo. I'm the energetic developer in this duo. Uh, and a random fact about me is that I own a ukulele, and I still haven't learned how to play a ukulele. But as they say, life is long. So, for our audio viewers there,
That was a nice musical introduction. Hi,
a
everybody.
musical.
My name is Tom. I'm a designer in this duo. Quick random fact about me. First time ever in my life when I tried beef jerky was in South Africa. I never had it before and fell in love. And when I moved to London, I found a guy from South Africa who's making beef jerky here. So now I'm ordering it regularly in tons, and it's amazing. Anyway, um,
Welcome to our health episode. This is the episode about health and about the strength of your blood vessels and bloodstream. Yeah, no. Today we are actually going to talk about a topic that every now and then opens up a flame war on social networks, and that's it. And that is how valued is formal education within the IT industry. And here we have two people of two backgrounds. I do actually have formal education. I don't believe Tom does, but he will correct me. So, Tom, go.
so I have zero formal education. No, not zero. I dropped out of college in year two. So when I started, so I paid for year two, and then I dropped out. Maybe not the best decision in hindsight. Maybe I could have dropped out before paying, but here we are. Everything that I know that I've learned in my career has been through experience, through trial and error, and through specific either books or courses or tutorials or whatever. But I never had a formal education in terms of like, oh, I'm going to college and doing this, and now I have a degree, and now with my degree, I'm going to conquer the world or whatever. And from my experience, I'm a firm believer in formal education is not worth as much as it was when our parents were young. So back then, formal education meant like, oh, you have a degree, you have a job. But now a degree means, oh, you have a degree, who cares? Do you have any experience? And especially if we take a look at what's happening in the US with all of the student loan debts and all the stuff like that, it's even worse. So with rise of YouTube and tutorials and all of the specific courses, there are coding courses for like $10 that will teach you enough that you can find a starting position for $10. Also, all of the major universities in the world have their courses for free online. You can literally audit an Harvard class online. Yes, there are things that you get in Harvard like networking, people, friends, connections, and all that stuff that we're not going to talk about today. We talked about networking. That's one of the things. But from a perspective of the education you're getting, you can get everything for a cost of one monthly library card. So
Probably a little bit more, but you can get everything online and everything. So, my question to you is why people don't?
because people don't know, if I'm not claiming this to be 100% fact that I'm true and everybody else is wrong, but from my experience and experience of people that I've known and what I've seen talking to when I was doing like talks and lectures on a university, which is very ironic that someone without a university degree goes into university to give a lecture. It kind of gives me that proverbial middle finger feeling that probably Steve Jobs had when he was delivering his speech to, I think it was at Harvard, that famous speech, when he got an honorary doctorate or whatever. And like, oh, you just graduated this thing here and you're gonna work for me and I'm gonna give you a job and you're gonna make me rich. So it kind of feels like that when I go to a university to speak, but I want to wake up kids that they can drop out and find a job without this. But if I look at that, I was very fortunate that my parents, especially my mom, was very like, look, if you don't want to go to college, don't drop out, but you gotta find a job, you gotta learn, you gotta do the thing, you have to work. You can't be at home and jerk off and do nothing. So cool, that's what I started doing. And from talking to people, I've seen a lot of people doing things because their parents are pushing them to do that. And it's a lot of pressure to my child will have a university degree, or I failed as a parent, or whatever the fuck it is. And unfortunately, I've seen this so many times. One of my closest friends, who's one of the best comedians in the world, sorry, in Croatia, one of the best comedians. Well, subjectively, he's the best comedian in the world, if you ask me, but that's because I love his show. But he's number one comedian in Croatia, and he has a architect degree. So he's an architect, pays the architect bar, all the things. He's a full-fledged architect, and when he finished his university, he got his degree, passed the bar exam, and then he quit his job to be a full-time comedian. And he said he's been doing this only to make his mom happy. Lucky for him, he's an extremely smart, persistent guy, so he gave a chunk of his life to do that. But a lot of people do not have the necessary self-awareness to realize, okay, I'm doing all of this to please my parents instead of doing what you want to do with your life. And then people going to do this formal education path where they are doing things they don't necessarily want to do. I'm not saying that formal education is wrong. There are a lot of jobs that you need to have formal education. You can't be a doctor or a lawyer, or my wife's a veterinarian, without a formal education. And don't get me wrong, I wouldn't want someone educated on YouTube to remove my brain tumor. That would be like, oh yeah, but I've watched thousands of hours of tutorials online. Well, I'm good. I'm going to do it on my own rather than doing it like, hey, just give me that fucking scalpel. I'm going to do the thing. But there are vocations that need a formal education, and formal education is amazing for that. But when we are talking about IT, the technology and the industry is so rapidly changing that universities cannot keep up with the changes. And I witnessed this when one of the reasons why I quit college was on year 2, I got like an exercise in web design and web development. And the guy teaching web design was talking about tables and doing web design in tables, like doing front end in tables. Back then, CSS was already a thing. Not already a thing, I already built website with that. And he was still teaching tables. And I was like, why am I paying this? And not even paying for this, but why am I wasting my valuable time sitting here when I know more than this guy, when I can get a job, obviously, to either be a teacher or to find a job in an agency and start doing that. So I did that, got a job, quit a job after 5 months, started my own company. But a lot of people don't have either that foresight to see that they can do this, or nobody told them that there's an alternative to a formal education. Nobody tells you, oh, you don't have to go to school. You can get a job without school, because it sounds either preposterous or too easy or fake, or how could you get a high paying job without an education? It's like you're getting education, but it's not formal education. It's still an education. You still have to read a fuck ton. You still need to bust your ass. You still need to work a lot, but you don't have to go to a specific building and listen to people tell you about things that are not relevant anymore to get a piece of paper, and then you knock on a door of a company. I was like, oh, I have an education in this. Like, cool, but can you actually do this? Oh, no. Okay, then we're not going to pay you as much as you expected. You're going to get an entry-level job. Let's see what you know. And guess what? You're going to learn on the job. So you might as well save yourself 3, 4, 5 years. Start learning right away.
So you are going to learn on the job. That is true. On the other hand, you have a piece of paper that says, hey, I'm capable of learning this. Today, when there's, among other things, a huge swarm of people who are self-taught on YouTube and everything else, you need to distinguish from people who are actually capable and from people who understand what they learned and who know how to apply it, and people who have just watched 3 videos and put in their CV, hey, I watched these 3 videos, am I now a front-end developer, and then apply for jobs. And because there is a swarm of people doing both, it's really difficult to distinguish the two. Unfortunately, today in the world, there is a stereotype about Indian developers. And as soon as you hear the term Indian developers, you assume people who can't speak English and people who can't code and do spaghetti code and break all of the things like that. And this is not. I've worked in international companies. I've worked with some amazing Indian developers. I've worked with Indian developers that I would love to have in every team I've ever worked with. But because there's too many of both, you can't really distinguish the two, and therefore the stereotype, even today, is still present among a lot of people, which is horrible, but it's the case. So a piece of paper does sort of validate that you have understood something that you've learned. In a similar way, a clutch review would validate that this reference is not just a reference, but that somebody actually called that CEO and asked, hey, did Tom do a good job on this project? So that's one thing. Another thing that is really cool is this now fluctuates a little bit from country to country, but basically you get into college or university at around the age of 18. Whether it's 17, whether it's 19, it's not necessarily. And at that age, you are pumped up with adrenaline, ego, and puberty, and you are adolescence, and you are, the best guy in town. You're the smartest person of all. But the only thing that you have proven yourself in, actually, career-wise, is high school. And basically, university is a project that you take on where you say, okay, I'm going to take a large project. I'm going to, clip a chunk of it every now and then, and I'm going to finish a project that takes 5 years. And then you prove that you can actually put your head into something that lasts 5 years. You decide, okay, now I want a degree. I'm going to put 5 years of my life into it. You put 5 years of your life into it, and you get a degree. So that's the second thing that it shows. It shows you a maturity that you can actually do a large, I'm going to call it a large-scale project in lack of a better word. And the third thing that I think is relevant, and this depends from school to school and from university to university, from college to college. College and university, in my opinion, shouldn't teach you skills. Skills are what you're going to learn through experience. College and university should teach you a mindset. So college, especially if we're talking about engineering colleges, they will not, there is no way that engineering colleges follow up all the trends that are happening in the industry immediately. But they can tell you, okay, this is a problem. This is how it's broken down into smaller problems. This is how you think abstractly. You take a big problem and then you break it into smaller problems. The smaller problems are black boxes, and then you can use them as Legos and just, this black box has this input, it will return this output, and use the Lego box wherever you need to. And get you that understanding of breaking down processes, get you that understanding of breaking up data structures, getting you that understanding of breaking up basically bigger problems into smaller problems. That is something that the university is supposed to teach you, especially an engineering university. And if an engineering university succeeds in that, then you will go out of it a really capable engineer that's going to take on any problem and any new skill and any new thing and say, okay, in order to succeed in this, I need to break it down like this, let's go. And you're going to have great results in your career. And I was lucky enough that I had a positive experience regarding all three of these in my university, so I'm always going to say pro-university. However, I'm never going to be the one that says, okay, I finished university, now I don't have to learn anything ever again, because guess what? I'm an engineer. Dudes, all bow to me. All hail the mighty Mario, the engineer. I'm not going to do that. Nobody in their sane mind would ever do that. I mean, life is life, new things are happening, and you do have to keep learning every day. and one of the Dmitry Pavlov, one of the best coders, one of the best software engineers I know, he told me this: try and spend 15 to 30 minutes every day reading something new in the industry. You might never, ever get to use it. You might never, ever need it. But spend 15 to 30 minutes just reading about something new, so you don't forget about reading, so you don't forget about tracking what's new. And so you are on top of things, at least to know them from a surface level, so that when you need something, you know where to dig down.
That's a great tip. There are a couple of things here that I want to unpack. I made a couple of notes. First, when you say that university degree tells you that people can approach this as a big project, I don't think kids that are going to college, university are thinking like this. Maybe some, like I'm going to take this on as a project, but not all of them are thinking like I'm going to chunk out this project in 5 years, whatever. Like with the hindsight of an engineer that you now have, I see how you can see it like that, but I don't think they are approaching it like that. That's number one. Number two, and one of my biggest problems with this approach, like, don't get me wrong, when I'm hiring people, I don't mind them having a degree. It tells me that they are obedient, that they are good workers, that they will do what they are told. And this is great because that means that they can be a really good employee. And my kind of perspective on formal education is that the system is built in a way that it produces employees. It does not produce leaders and entrepreneurs. So there, especially engineering college. Engineering college does not teach you how to communicate, how to build a company, how to scale your product. They teach you how to be a cog in a machine and make money for someone else. This is what an engineering university does. So if you go through a university for engineering, it will teach you how to be a really great, amazing, highly paid, highly skilled worker. Nothing more. And if this is something that you want, there's nothing bad with that. Just from my perspective, this is not something that I ever wanted. I had a problem with traditional schooling since I was a kid, listening to what people tell me, but it's me having problems with authority. And then it kind of evolved into, this is why I'm a strong proponent of freelancing, because I value my freedoms, I value my flexibility, I value recording this podcast at 8 a.m. On a Monday, not having anything else to do, apart from a couple of meetings today. So this is why I'm not saying this is the way to do it. This is the way and this is my way. But I'm saying that people who go to universities, nobody tells them there's an alternative. There's another path that you can take that is not this. And one of the main not shifts, I already had that shift, but like a validation to what I was feeling internally was a TED Talk from Sir Ken Robinson. It was called "Do Schools Kill Creativity?" And he talked about how schools, especially the education system that prioritizes technical skills, is killing creativity in children, and they are not. They are ignoring the diversity in types of intelligence that variety of people have. So they are focusing on, like, you have to learn math and physics and you have to learn for this exam and you have to pass the exam, and it kills the way that not everybody learns in the same manner. So some people learn by doing, some people learn by reading, some people advance by passing tests, some people learn by doing stuff. And there's a great meme that I'm going to place here so everybody can pose. It's not a meme, it was like a comic that I really love, where a teacher kind of sits at a desk and says, we are now going to grade you by your ability to climb this tree. And they're like animals lined up, and then you have like an elephant, a goldfish in a bowl, a monkey, a donkey, a bird, and all of you are now going to be graded by this single ability. And then the whole system is built in a way that you are grading people, because we all have to be graded in the same way, but it excludes so many people. And then, not being aware of that as a kid, you're made to feel inadequate, dumb, not good enough. And it's not hard to grow up thinking that you're not good enough to do X, Y, and Z. This is why I don't like traditional schooling system, because it approaches from a singular, very very unidirectional. We are doing this like this, and then it's also inherited from a industrial revolution. We need workers. We need people who's going to work 9 to 5. They train you subconsciously. You're going to school, bell rings, you sit down, bell rings, you go to pee, bell rings, shut up, bell rings, do your work, bell rings, go home. And it's conditioning you. And this is why I believe that a traditional schooling system needs changing.
Traditional schooling system needs changing, but all of the things, so you've opened up a few topics here, but all of the things that you've mentioned are not necessarily against formal education. They are more against the curriculum provided in formal education. And that's one thing. Another thing, the thing that you mentioned with us being graded on different things and people not understanding our uniqueness and all of that, that works for the lower part of education, like in primary school and even in high school. Yeah, you got to do the curve, and well, you got to do the curve. Well, that's fine, and that's not ideal, but from a practical point of view, there is no way to make a system scale on a level of a state with it including every individual in the state. I mean, I don't see a practical way of doing that. Maybe there is, but I don't see it. On the other hand, when you get into university or college or whatever, is not something that's mandatory. It's something that you chose, and it's something that you chose ideally because of your interest in a topic. And I'm going to dismiss here now the people that go to law because their father is a lawyer, or the people who go into medicine because their mother will be so proud. In theory, you choose the university based on the area of human knowledge that interests you. And therefore, you want to be, I'm not going to say molded, but you want to have a good base in what is required knowledge for that area. So if you're going into, let's say, computer science like I did, you do need to understand the existence of logical circuits. I've understood it. I've never used it since college, nor will I ever, but you have to understand logical gates. You have to understand, how circuit boards are made, what they are made of, how the electricity works, why we decided on a binary system 0 and 1, how does it work with actual voltages and things like that. I've never, ever, ever used that practically in my life. I work in nice IDEs, in high-level languages, where you have IntelliSense, you don't know something, then you push a dot, and then it tells you what you want to write. Now we have tools like Copilots and stuff like that write stuff instead of you. So I don't care about what a MOSFET transistor is, but I'm glad that I know that it exists and how roughly it works. I'm glad I know what electricity is and how electricity works, because electricity is something we depend on in our daily lives, and you would be surprised what answers you would get if you go out in the street and ask people what electricity is. So from that point in high-level education, I think you do want to get the basis of the industry, a wide basis of the industry that you're working on, and that the argument that, yeah, but I'm unique and I don't care about that, shouldn't apply there. It does very much apply to the earlier stages of education, where some people who are extremely creative or something like that get left behind because they don't satisfy the need. But the thing that I wanted to say, if we are touching base on the actual curriculum in formal education, there are a few things that, well, piss me off. First, we put no emphasis whatsoever on finances. Let's say, this is my understanding, and I don't know enough about, so I'm going to give maybe parallels that are not true. If they're not, please, after you subscribe and hit the bell and everything, correct me in the comments. But I think other systems, I think in Croatia you can finish high school and not understand what a bank is, what a bank account is, what a credit card is, what credit is, what interest is, what a loan is, uh, uh, and all of that. And that is not good, because as soon as you finish that high school, you're actually going to have a job. And in order to get a job, you need to open up a bank account. And I've literally hired a girl directly from high school. She's actually a very talented programmer. And she asked me, okay, I told her, okay, you need to open up a bank account to be able to get a salary. She was like, what's that? How do I do that? Can I go online? What? And that's wrong. The second thing that is wrong is there is no, from what I know, there is no real education track for entrepreneurs. So some, like you mentioned, nobody, they grow you to be good at a certain area, but there is no institution that tells you, okay, now you're going to become an entrepreneur, and these are the courses that you're going to have to take. You're going to have to take these economy classes, you're going to have to take these management classes, you're going to have to take these engineering classes, you're going to have to take these psychology classes, you're going to have to take these I don't know, philosophy classes, and the blend of all that will get you a wide picture so you can become an entrepreneur. The third thing I'm pissed off is that we don't mention we have presentation, but we don't put enough emphasis on presentation, and we don't put any emphasis whatsoever on sales. And sales sells. So sales, we need to put emphasis on sales. Not that everybody needs to be a salesman, but that everybody needs to understand that in order for all of us to earn our salaries, somebody has to sell something somewhere. Something has to be sold and somebody has to pay for it so that everybody can get their salaries. And this is something that a lot of people don't understand. They're, yeah, I'm going to a factory, I'm building chairs. Today I built 20 chairs, therefore I deserve my salary. You do. And you did an amazing job building 20 chairs. But somebody has to sell those chairs to a school in Beijing or to I don't know, government office in Buenos Aires or whatever. Somebody has to sell that somewhere. Otherwise, the point of you building it is pointless. And nobody puts emphasis on that. And I'm pretty sure a lot of the workforce today doesn't even understand it.
That's
Rant over.
You're 100% spot on. That's people not understanding how production and value creation works and where does it come from, where does money come from. But to your point of schools not teaching anything related to economy or politics, for that matter, like what are political party? Why do you reach the age of 18 and now you have to vote? Like, how the fuck do I know who do I vote for? Oh, well, my parents are voting for this party, so I'll just vote for them, and don't let me disagree. And it kind of, I don't want to go into, this is not a Joe Rogan podcast, so I will not go into the conspiracies, but there's a reason that is not taught in schools. There's a reason why we don't want kids to know what a bank account is. We don't want them to know what a loan is and what a mortgage is and what interest rates are. We want them to get them, so there are ads for them. There are ads on every bus stop. Oh, get a low mortgage interest rate and then buy your house. There's a reason why that exists, and there's a reason why there's a job exists where you can pay for that mortgage over your course of your life. And why we don't teach you how that actually works. But that's a topic for when we turn off the cameras, have a couple of beers, and then have an honest discussion about that. But yeah, you're completely right. It needs to change. So I think it's on us, when I say us, not you and me, but you and me also, to spread the word as much as we can. This is why I go to universities for free to talk to young minds, to tell them there are other ways of doing things than the one being forced to you, in putting in front and center in front of your mind. There are alternative paths that you can take and explore. And if you don't feel that this is for you, have a conversation with me or someone like me and see what else you can do. Because if somebody who's done something that you want to do exists, it means that you can replicate those steps and do it on your own.
Can I just one of the final thoughts for today is every now and then on LinkedIn and Facebook and wherever is a debate whether you should go to university or whether you should learn on your own on YouTube's, on Udemy's, on Coursera's, and whatever. And then there are people vigorously defending one side and vigorously defending the other side. And the thing I never understood is, how are the two contradictory? Why is it A or B? How did we get to that situation? Why isn't it A and B? Like, you can go to university and then if you figure out, okay, this topic interests me, let me find 5 YouTube courses on that topic. Mind blown, right? So I literally never understand. Like, there hasn't been 10 days where this hasn't been in my LinkedIn feed, or somebody again throws a flame war. Like, why is it either or? Why does it, if you decide to go for formal education, mean that you don't work on yourself afterwards or during or anything like that? Or why, if you are working on yourself and learning from courses and from experience and everything, how does that show that university sucks? I mean, I'm so angry about people being exclusive for no valid reason whatsoever.
It's not no valid reason. There's a reason. It's two things. One is people love to be right and they love to be correct. So they want to defend their position because I chose this. Therefore, if I'm wrong, then I'm going to feel bad about myself. So people are trying to defend their egos. Oh, I made a right decision. So that's number one. Number two is it creates engagement on social media. So of course I'm going to post something that's going to create engagement. So people are, for the most part, we are tribal. It's in our genes. It's us versus them. It's either me, because again, I love to be correct. Therefore, I'm going to find my tribe who agrees with me. So therefore, we are correct. And we have those godless heathens on the other side that we need to be better than. So it's very simple, actually. And then if you understand that, this is how you create engagement on social media. But another maybe topic for another time. Before we wrap up,
I agree with all that. I just don't count it as a valid reason.
Yeah, but it's a reason. This is why these things happen. Did you prepare a bad joke for today?
I actually saw a meme the other day. In a Star Trek holodeck, Lieutenant Barclay recreates Albert Einstein, and they're talking about something, and he tells him, "Hey Albert, I finally understood your theory of relativity." To which Einstein replies, "It's about time."
That's funny if you know who Lieutenant Barclay is, and he was.
If you don't, I don't think you're listening to this. So,
Yeah.
or you'll Google. That's
Or
also
Google.
a possibility.
He saved Voyager, so we love him. Anyway, my quick bad joke for the end is I am afraid of elevators, so I'm taking steps to avoid them. I know. This was great. This was a great episode, Mario. Thanks everybody who listened till the end. If you haven't yet subscribed, hit the like, the bell button, show it to your mom, all that stuff, and let us know what you think. Drop a comment. If you have suggestions for other topics, we are always open for suggestions. And I think I'm going to say it now to everybody who's listening. We will soon be starting with episodes involving guests. So if you know someone that you would like to see on the show who's not a multi-billion international star that we can actually get, please let us know. And we'll see you in the next one.
Enjoy.
Bye.